Hey guys, Marmalade here with Marmalade Outdoors. Thanks for joining me on this video. I've been thinking about this video for a very long time, and it's actually hard. The title is even tough because it's kind of two things. It has to do with how to get lighter with your backpacking gear without spending any money at all, but also how to be faster and more efficient of getting out of camp and just getting everything refined. So that's kind of what this video is about. So on these 8 ideas that I have or tips, you'll either say one or the other or both of those things included in my ideas. So let's get on with number one. The very first one is bring less clothes. Now that doesn't mean risk getting hypothermia, but when you have a trip plan, whether it's a complete through hike or a weekend trip, most people are weekend hikers or overnighters. Make sure you go look at the weather and find out what the weather is going to be like for that time of year. If it's going to be terrible, then bring more clothes. But I say whenever possible, try to bring just what you need. That's what I do every time I go out. I don't bring extra clothing. Generally, everything I bring, I wear at some point. But that heavy clothes are heavy, especially for me. I'm bigger, so my clothes are heavier. But just kind of refine it to what you bring what you need, and that's it. Okay, the second one I just mentioned in a previous video, 2 or 3 videos ago, but is bring less bags. You do need bags. I bring some bags, but the bags I bring, I'll get DCF. They are some they're a little pricey. They're from Z Packs, but they're like a tenth of an ounce. And I'll keep my bathroom stuff or my water kit or my first aid kit and some of those things. So if you're going to bring bags, try to go as light as possible and not huge. If you don't need a big bag for something small, get a small bag. For me, it's worth a little bit extra money to save ounces. And one of the things to think about that we're going when we talk about being lighter that I was thinking about is think about it. Some people scoff at, oh, I don't want to get that because I'm only saving 2 ounces. But what if you save 1 ounce is over 16 different things in your pack? That's a whole pound. So that saying about ounces lead to pounds is very true. Some things you can get, I went from a 6 pound tent to now I have I think 19 ounce tent. But those are drastic changes. That's not normal. So but when you look at things, everything costs money if you go lighter. But just think about it. Say, yeah, maybe it's only 3 ounces here and 2 ounces over here, and I'll leave a little bit less out of my first aid that I never use in the kit. But it all adds up, and I'm telling you, it'll make a pound or two difference, even just cutting off little things. All right, so number three, I have to give complete credit to the hiking Rev, my buddy that I hike with a lot. He's finished the PCT, and I've seen him do this for years, and I finally adopted it last year, actually last year and a half or so, even before I got on the PCT last year, and that is sleep in your hiking clothes. Think about it, sleep in your hiking clothes. Now, why would somebody do that? It seems kind of crazy, but I always carried all my base layers, and I really enjoyed actually, if I'm being truthful, when I'm filthy dirty, because I wear shorts, when you're hiking 20 plus miles a day, and you're sweating, if you're not by a river where you can kind of wash off the trail off of you and you're dry camping, you're sticky and gross and everything. And I like putting clean clothes on for a couple of reasons. It made me feel semi-human, but also didn't get my quilt and my air mattress dirty because the dirt stayed in there. And then when I got into town, I'd throw my base layers in the washer and get them clean again. But except for extreme hikes when you're going through snow and things like that, where you're probably not wearing shorts. For the PCT, are there cold, wet days? Yes, but I hiked. Those are days I wear rain pants. But for the most part, I always wear. I mean, I did Mount Whitney in a short, so most part, I'm always in my shorts. So how do you pull this off and not get everything filthy? So what I do is I have some Enlighten equipment. I forget which brand, which model they are, but they're just wind pants. You can even get these on Amazon. They're like I think they're is it ballet, like just baggy pants. But these weigh 2 ounces, even for my size. And I use them for a couple things. Most things I have are multi-use, but that's what I put on at night. Even if it's not going to be super cold, I put them on because it keeps everything clean in my bag. So that's what I do. It's worked for me I would say I've done that for the last 3 years, and it's worked great. So I can sleep in my clothes. The other thing I do is I put on, before I go to bed, I put on tomorrow's socks so they're on my feet. I have all my clothes on, so it makes it very fast and efficient in the morning. I don't have to change clothes. I used to hate, by the way, taking my hiking clothes off, putting my base layers on, and then when it's like 32 degrees in the morning, having to get out of my warm quilt, take all my sleep stuff off, and put that on. I used to hate it. So I don't have to do that anymore. I literally am dressed to hike when I wake up. And sometimes if it's cold, I leave the wind pants on and hike a few miles so I warm up. So yeah, that's tip number three. All right, four is a quick and simple one to get you out of camp fast. And that is when you first wake up, if you're trying to be on a schedule, is let the air out of your air mattress. For me, I'm not a big sleeper inner, and plus on trail, I'm hiker midnight 7 or 8 o'clock, so I'm sleeping so much I can't wait to get up even by 4 or 5. But for you, folks that like to sleep in, let the air, when it's time to get up, especially when you're in a group, don't hold them up. Let the air out of your air mattress. You'll be on the ground and you'll have to get up. Okay, number 5, and a great way to be fast and efficient, which has really helped me, is that when you wake up in the morning, you let the air mattress, the air out of that, is once you've kind of got your wits about you, I pack up almost everything, about 80 to 90% of my backpack inside the tent. It's super easy to do, and the reason why I do this is when I first started backpacking, even when I first started the PCT in 2019, I did not do this, and I'm a tall guy. I'd get out of my tent and stretch and stuff. It would take me an hour and a half or more to get out of camp because I'd have to go, and especially being a tall guy, I have to go in there and pull one thing at a time, whatever I needed to go in my pack next, because I pack it a certain way. That item, then I have to go in there, and sometimes the things I needed were on the far side of the tent, and I have to crawl way over there and get them, come outside where my backpack is, put that in. I do it over and over like 30 times or more, and that just takes a ton of time, and it's a lot of effort. So when I wake up in the morning, my quilt goes in the bottom, and I start building my base of like an air mattress and different things I put in there to build a base for where my food bag, because my food bag is my heaviest thing that goes in the middle. And I made a video on how to get out of camp in like 20 minutes. I'll try to put it either up in the corner or down in the description box if you want to watch that. I think it came out pretty good, but it kind of shows you how I do it. And I made that a couple years ago, and I don't know if it's outdated. I don't think it is. I think I still do the same thing, but just think about doing that so you can get out of camp and get going. All right, so number 6 is consider having breakfast down the trail somewhere. For those of you, as I just mentioned, that may have a hard time getting out of camp, takes you forever, start refining the way you pack up, but also maybe consider, I learned this from one of the guys I hiked with named Bart, and I thought you're supposed to eat breakfast in camp, have coffee, do all this stuff. Well, meanwhile, by the time I'm done eating breakfast, I could have been a mile and a half down the way. So I'm not much of a breakfast person. This summer, I think because I don't do breakfast anyway, I'm gonna do like maybe a protein breakfast, like custom drink that I'm gonna make in baggies. So what I can do is put it in a water bottle, put it on my chest. Once I'm packed up, put it on there and just start walking and sip on it. And I can sip on my breakfast as I go. I may do cereal or a bar or something. And so what I like to do is to spread out my food some, is to have that drink first thing as I'm walking, maybe drink it in the first mile. And then maybe 2 or 3 miles down the way, maybe think about pulling over for your first break and get some breakfast. If you are a breakfast person, you can cook and do it then. I think why that's good is it gives you some energy for the next part of the morning and into midday. If you eat early in the morning, unless you snack pretty well, you're going to have a kind of before lunch, you're going to have a gap there where you don't eat much. So I like to get 2 or 3 miles down the way. That's usually an hour, hour and a half, depending on how hard the trail is, and then have some breakfast or a bar or do something like that. All right, number 7 is kind of goes hand in hand with 6, but is being aware about your food. They say in general that you pack for your fears. I always brought too much food and too much clothing. I've gotten much better and almost got rid of that problem. But if you're doing a weekend trip, like literally, some people will bring, well, I'm there 3 days, so I'm bringing 3 days of food, but you realize you don't account for, hey, when you get there, you're eating breakfast, or you're gonna eat something before you get to the trail, so you don't need a breakfast then. And then maybe on the last day, you're gonna get done at noon. You don't need to bring another dinner or more snacks because you're gonna go somewhere and eat or go home. So really refine your food down. Be honest. For me, when I get on trail and do a longer trail, I actually lose my appetite. So I purposely don't bring a lot of food. When I'm through hiking, the weekend trip, I'll eat a little more. But besides water, food is the second heaviest thing you'll carry. So be really smart about it. All right, the 8th and final one, oh man, it's getting windy here, is the last one is basically just be honest with yourself about all your gear. I tell this to people all the time where I work at REI, is be aware, like every time you do a short trip, an overnight or a weekend, lay everything out. I always say this, but like if you didn't use your rain jacket, that doesn't mean you shouldn't bring it anymore. You need a rain jacket. I use my rain jacket as much for mosquitoes and as a windbreaker and a warm layer at night than I hardly ever use it in California as a rain jacket. I use it for everything else, but I know I need it whether I touch it or not. That's why I have a really light one. But look at your gear and, are you bringing a lot of stuff for the what ifs? What ifs? People are doing the whole PCT and not bringing some of the stuff you're bringing. And we're not worried about the what ifs. If you run out of a Band-Aid, you'll make do or something, or somebody else will have one until you get to the next town if you're doing through hiking, or until you get done with your 2 or 3 day trip. Most people have things you might need, and backpackers are good about sharing their stuff, but just be really honest. And the last thing about that is the other way to get light when it comes to being honest about your gear is, I say this a lot too, but we all need a tent, most of us, a tent and a quilt or sleeping bag and an air mattress, those kind of things. But where I got lighter was knowing what not to bring. So yes, you need those things. Some people can't afford a super light $1,000 tent, and that's totally understandable. So you bring what you can bring. But there's things that you can not bring that will really make your pack a lot lighter. So you don't want to risk, if you're going to bad weather, you don't want to not bring a thick, heavy, warm jacket because you don't want to carry the weight. You got to bring that, but just be smart about it and pay attention to your gear. The more you use it, why do I keep bringing that thing? I maybe used it once in a year or never ever. I had a lot of stuff like that for the what if. So just be really prudent and be honest with yourself. Let your ego out of it and just evaluate your stuff. And I watch a lot of other people's, even though I've been doing this forever, I think I have over 8,000 miles hiked since I started, whether it's day hikes or backpacking. And I still watch a lot of gear reviews. I still learn a lot of cool new ways to do things and a lighter way to do this or that. So watch those kind of things. For the PCT, a ton of people make gear videos when they're getting ready to go, and just watch them. Or I've done a lot. You can watch some of mine. But yeah, that's the eighth and final one. So I hope they helped. These are just things. You don't have to buy stuff. I mean, obviously, if you want a lighter tent, you have to pay for a tent. But these are just kind of things that I've noticed and changed and done and watched and seen other hikers do over the years. Ways to be faster out of camp, be lighter without spending anything. But just think about what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable not wearing your warm sleep jammies, then don't do it. But these are just ideas. I hope they help you. I hope you enjoyed that too. And if you think of any ideas for a good video that interests you, if I think it's good and I think that it'll interest a multitude of people, I'll make it. And that's all I got for you. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. My channel has been growing a lot lately, so I really appreciate it, but it's still about 85–90% are not subscribers. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I have a video. And the number one thing is just hit the like button. All those things are free, but it really helps the channel, and I really appreciate it too. And that's all I got. Until next time, we'll definitely see you down the trail. Bye.